today is 3rd of March. Today is 4th of March 2023. Okay, so I would like to learn a number of things. We would like to learn about different types of napier grass and how to plant napier grass. So there are 2 topics today. Types. The topic is napier grass. Okay, it is napier. Napier one. Napier grass. Napier grass. Types. This is one. We have a number of them. We have fertiliser. We have attain. We have one. We have Kakamega 1 and Kakamega 1, and we have giant napier. Okay, so in this farm and set farm, we have all these varieties. We have fertiliser, we have attain, we have Kakamega 1, we have giant napier. Actually, fertiliser is not necessarily a type of napier, but we just included in this group. So fertiliser has different types, but we are not going to discuss fertiliser today. We would like to show the characteristics of each. Fertiliser, but I will start with the ones that we are growing here, and I will start with the number 4, which is giant napier. Napier grass. Okay, so giant napier grass grows very tall, and it takes about 3 months to mature. So to mature, it takes 3 months. When planting, you can plant. Yeah, we will discuss planting. But it grows very tall. It has very thick stems, like manure, like sugar cane. Okay, the leaves are very hairy, quite hairy, and the thick stems are quite lushy, watery stem. Okay, so this giant napier, it grows very tall. It can go up to 5 meters. No, 5 meters, which is about 15 feet. Okay, and it has very thick stems, as I've said before, and it's like sugar cane. If you can mistake it for sugar cane. It also has some sugar inside the stems. The leaves are quite hairy, and actually when you are uprooting, or when you are cutting it, it's full of hair. And then it's quite lushy. We tried to make silage out of this napier, and it didn't do well because of the lushness, because of the amount of water that it is in the stem. Okay, Now the next grass that we want to discuss, that we would like to talk about, is the Kakamega one. This is a variety that is locally grown in Kenya. It's grown in Kenya, locally grown or developed or developed in Kenya. It has thin stems, thinner than thin stems, less sugary than the giant. Now, but it is also quite prolific. Producing a lot of biomass, especially on manure, if you grow it on manure. And yeah, when it's also protein content of about up to 16% nitrogen. Okay. All right. So as I've said, it is locally developed. It has thin stems. It is less sugary than the giant, and also it's quite prolific, especially when you grow it under manure. It produces a lot of biomass, and then its protein content is about 16%. Okay. The third type is Pachong. I don't know whether this is the spelling, but this is a variety of napier grass that is really very popular in Kenya nowadays. Its characteristics is that it's quite prolific, growing as tall as 15 to 16 feet at set farm. Yes. It has very green leaves, which means very high in protein content. High in protein, up to 20% if grown on manure, and we have already established that it does that at Sekfa. Yeah, quite palatable to animals. Palatable. We are also going to be discussing its growth rate, but in 3 months it can grow maximum height of up to 16 feet. 3 months. So high growth rate on manure. Okay. Now, yeah, it's also quite soft when cutting on chaff cutter. Soft texture. Okay, and it's easy to grow. It can grow from the splits with the stems cut into pieces of 2 knots each, and also if you have already a growing young shoot, you can split into different stems or shoots, so it can be grown from splits or stems, cuttings for that matter. Okay. Now, how do we grow napier grass? I think that's the next step. All these varieties are available at Step Farm, but I'm going to explain how we do grow on the steps that we follow when growing napier grass. So here, we are going to discuss the steps of growing napier grass. Okay? Steps followed when growing or when establishing a napier grass field or sward. So for this case, we're calling them steps for growing or establishing napier. Okay. Step number one is that identify. No, first of all, do land preparation. Land preparation. You need to make sure that the field is properly cultivated, cleared of weeds, and properly the soil is well mixed. Okay, so that you can really plant young napier. So land preparation, well done, should be well done. Number two is that you need to dig holes, spacing of 1 meter by 1 meter, and shallow holes. I do not prefer the tumbukisa that people talk about. To me, it is not. It doesn't make sense because this bakchong, this is the bakchong that I'm talking about. So for this case, I think I would really emphasize bakchong because this is what I grow in my field. But yeah, if it is the giant napier, you may need to dig deeper holes. Okay, but for any other one, you can do shallow holes. All right. When planting, if you can get a mature plant and cut into pieces the stems. So stems, you can get stems when planting. You can plant it on stems and also from splits. So stems or splits. Okay. Yes. So the splits are supposed to be cut on knots of about two knots per stem, short stems. But you can also use splits, whereby you go to a plant that is also already growing or established. You just chop off some few shoots and then plant separately. All right. Fertilizer application is important. Here I use phosphatic fertilizers when you are planting. This is fertilizer that is good for root development. And if you don't have fertilizers for phosphates, for manure does very well. At Step Farm, we use manure because we have plenty of it from our dairy shed. Okay. Now, it will take about 1 month for the splits to take off or stems. So from there, you need to do some weeding. If it was Bracharia, there's some pests called spider mites, but these ones are not affected by spider mites. All right. Okay. So weeding is done about 1 month, but mainly the weeds are grasses, other grasses. For example, Kikuyu grass, Kikuyu, wheatgrass, and legumes. of its nutrients, and then you may get standard growth. So that is why it's important to split. I mean to weed at an early stage. Now, you can what you can do is to press after 2 months or after 1 month. To press with nitrogen fertilizer after 1 month. So this will really give a boost to the crop when it is maturing, when it is growing. The crop should be mature at 3 months time, and you can be able to harvest. Okay? 3 months is mature, and it has attained about something like 8 feet above the ground. All right. So then you can cut. That is the first cut. Then after you've cut, you can allow it. After 2 months, you can come back. But after these 3 months after cutting, you need to top dress again with manure or with nitrogen fertilizer. You can cut. You need to come back and cut again after 2 months of regrowth. It regrows in 2 months. Okay? All right. Then you can be able to feed to your animals regularly and establish. So after 2 cuts, you can measure the biomass. You can estimate the biomass. After 2 months, you can estimate the biomass. Okay? So these are the steps to be followed when growing the napier grass, and I can repeat it again in brief. I'm focusing more on backyard, which is on my farm. So you have to do a thorough land preparation, which is supposed to be well done. No weeds, well mixed, good texture, not over plowed. You use a moldboard plow or a hoe. Don't use a disc plow because it pulverizes the soils. Now, when the field is well done, you need to identify a good source of planting material. So if it is on your farm, you just go in there and cut splits and bring them and try to and establish them. So the spacing is about 1 meter by 1 meter. Okay? On shallow holes. Why shallow holes? Is because these grasses are deep rooted. They will send the roots down into the soil, and therefore you don't need to worry about loaching. It means falling off plants when they have grown. Some people do what's called tumbukiza, but I don't really bother with it so much. I just plant them directly on the soils. As I said, you can use stems, which is 2 knots each. Just pin them into the soil and cover it properly. And you can also use splits, whereby you go to a crop that is already growing, just put a hoe in between the shoots, get some shoots out, and then use the splits. You plant the splits, and I'll be able to demonstrate when we're in the field. Fertilizers. At Self Farm, we use manure, but some people, they don't have manure, so they're advised to use fertilizers. And for planting, you need a phosphatic fertilizer, which is good for root development. The plants require phosphates or phosphorus when they are growing and when they are young to develop their roots. But if you have a well-composted manure or a well-decomposed manure, you can apply directly. That is what we do in Self Farm. Weeding, When the crop is about 3 weeks to 1 month, and it depends on the rain patterns. In our area, there's a lot of rain, and you will get a lot of weeds, especially leguminous, and also grasses like kuch grass, kikuyu grass. So we try to come and weed, and we weed manually. We don't advocate for chemical weeding the way some people do. Okay. Now, top dressing. Yes, after about 1 month, this crop is now coming up and it's really becoming leafy. It has about maybe 10 leaves. Then you can top dress with a nitrogen fertilizer, given that you have already applied the one for the roots, which is phosphate or phosphorus. Now you can come down with fertilizers like CAN, like urea, that has a lot of nitrogen. But at set farm, we come back again and apply manure. Now, then the crop grows. You can repeat weeding all the time to make sure that the crop is weeded. So then, you can do that up to 3 months. Now the crop will be mature, it's tall enough, it's about 8 feet, 7 feet. Of course, many people would like to cut napier grass when it is young, or when it's like that, but it has a lot of proteins, but also it has a lot of water. So the dry matter content is quite low, and some animals may have running stomachs because the digestibility of this crop is very high. So we at Self Farm would prefer that it overgrows a bit. It develops a bit hard stem. We say that the NDF, nitrogen detergent fiber, that fiber itself is what we are looking for. And in that case, we allow it to grow because it tickles. When it is a bit hard, it tickles the stomach of the animal. So we don't cut it when it is too young. Okay? So that is after 3 months. But once you have cut it, you need to top dress, either with manure or with nitrogen fertilizer, urea also, for regrowth, for regrowing. And that is why we put nitrogen fertilizer if you don't have manure. Now, and then after, but why manure? We like manure because it has so many advantages over the nitrogen fertilizers. Nitrogen fertilizers are chemicals, and they tend to kill the microbes that are in the soil. But organic manure are very good. It allows so many microbes to come around, and these microbes coexist with the crop, and therefore the crop will do better in manure than on chemical fertilizers. So that's why we emphasize organic manure. This crop is also a self farm because of good rains that we have, because of good manure that we have. And as I said, manure also has a very good water retention capacity. So then regrowth is quite good. I described it as prolific. The growth grows very fast. And then within 3 months again, or 2.5 months, or 2 months in some cases, depending on also what size of napier that you want to cut, you can cut every 2 months. So now, it depends on which area that you've grown, how much of the land that you've covered. Some people, depending on the size of land you have, you can do it for in one acre. For ourselves at Self Farm, we have up to 2 acres of napier grass, and some people do quarter acre, smaller pieces of land, depending on the size of land. But what is very important is to look at the yield. Yes, comparing, looking at the demand that is required from you to how much forage you need to supply to your animals. Depending on the number of animals, you need to determine the biomass. What is the productivity or the production level of your napier grass by unit area? And that we do at Self Farm, but we shall discuss it in another video. There we determine the biomass. That means the amount of forage that is produced, solids that is produced from a given piece of land. If you know that, it will help you to be able to calculate how much feed is available for your animals and what is the deficit. And then that will help you to make decisions on how much of the napier or how much of the forage that you need to go sourcing from outside. Because not everybody in Kenya is able to supply forage from their own farms. They source it from outside. And to do that, you need to know the deficit in your calculations so that you can do proper calculations. So otherwise, based on that, we are able to, we have discussed the types, and that the ones that we are focusing on, that is the bakchong that I have on my farm. We have the child napier, and as I told you, I have also Pracharia and the Kakamega 1. But for this case, I was trying to explain in general terms how to grow or how to plant